Hello, everyone. This is Benjamin. I'm going to be playing against the Maria bot. It's a 1200. I'm just basically explaining, ideas and thoughts and so forth. I'm gonna do 30 minutes just because I might let people give some ideas while doing move by move. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with that, and you have to give me a second here. I'm gonna go ahead and share this with a few. So if you're watching this after live, it might be a good idea to fast forward maybe 2 minutes, I say, as I do this. So give me a second. Yeah, so today what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be hold on a second, sharing I'm sorry. Let me sharing this right now is hard difficult for me for some reason to talk while doing that. Just give me 1 second here, sharing with a group. Okay, I think I'm ready now. All right. I'm gonna start with my normal opening. I like the D6. I usually play the King's Indian or Perk defense. So all right, she already moved the. It's a really awkward move. I wouldn't suggest that at all for your own games. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I share it to the right group. Sorry about that. Okay, then. All right, this move right here is a bit strange. The reason why I don't like it is because number one, you're supposed to be going towards the center usually. Two is developing pieces before pawns, and three, if the king were to cast, the king would have a hard time casting this side. This is like makes it a little unsafe. So for those reasons, I don't like it. So I wouldn't recommend playing this right here for sure. That's something I would not recommend at all. Um, Normally I castle this side, but because of this pawn, it might make it a little difficult. So I'm considering actually castling queen side. But I'm going to start with my normal development and see what transpires. Okay, yeah. So now if I move up, if there's any captures, it will weaken my queen side and my king side, and yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just develop my pieces and very likely just castle queen side for that reason. Okay, so she moved these pawn over here, and she moved this pawn over here, and she's not really developing towards the center and on the pieces, which is all pretty bad. That's not how you want to play chess. Okay. Definitely. Okay, that's a little better. So I have to think about. I wanted to move my queen up so I can get ready to castle, but I have to always consider like what would I do if she would remove the pawn up. I these squares. I mean, I can move to these squares, but I have to ask myself like if I move here and she were attack, like what am I doing? Is this a good square? I mean, I gotta ask myself these questions. because then she can take and I take back. And I have double pawns for no reason. I gave myself them for no reason. And I have to consider these moves. And I think it might be okay. I mean, if I go up here, she can't call it check, but then I can just move. Then I can't move back because it's pawn. Yeah, if I goes down here and I move here and she calls check, well, my knight can't go back because it's pawn will capture it. And I'll lose my knight. So I'd have to be aware of stuff like that. So obviously, moving my queen up might be an idea. So if he goes down and I go up, if he goes to queen a4 check, then well, it's not check anymore. I'm sorry. If he goes queen a4, it won't be check anymore. So that will take care of that. So I'll go ahead. Yeah, you have to consider small moves like this. Otherwise, you can easily like lose a piece or lose a pawn, which you don't want to do. I consider moving up. If I consider in g6, if he takes, I'd have to take it this way. I can't take back this with the h pawn because of the rook. So looks fine. Now, if I want to take this pawn, I'd have to move my bishop or my knight to h5, blocking the rook from protecting the pawn. It's blocking the connection. So let's see here. I'm considering on taking and then moving to h5, but it's defended by the bishop as well. So I have to consider basically find a way to block the bishop and the rook off is what I need to do. And I don't see a good way to do that right now. I mean, I can go knight to e4, attacking the bishop, but he always can just move over. So it's not like it's going to force him to just not defend it. So I'm going to go ahead and do something else. All right. So attacking his pawn isn't really going to work. Now that I figured that out, I have to go on with another idea. E5 maybe, attacking the center. If I go e5, what can she do? Well, she can either take it or move forward, or even defend. So now I have to like calculate each one. If she were to take it, I can capture back. My knight is defending this pawn, so it's not like he can take it because defended by the knight. It doesn't look too bad. I have a pretty strong pressure here. So that wouldn't be too bad for me if she were to take it. Now I gotta look at if she were to defend it. I mean, what can I do? I mean, I can take, if he takes back. If I take the knight, I get a free pawn. So if she defends, I might be able to get a free pawn. And if she advances, then my knight doesn't have really many good squares. I can't go here anymore because of the bishop. And if I move my knight here, he can just take it and get double pawns. So me moving this would be a bad move because for that reason. So I don't want to do that. Now I can move this pawn up first and then this. So I can move my knight back and possibly the square in the future. So I'm going to go ahead with that. And now I'm ready to advance my pawn because I want to get my pieces out, my bishops out, and get ready to start attacking. Okay. Now, as earlier, this was bad for obvious reasons because the bishop. I didn't want to do this because I would get double pawns. I moved this specifically to a6 just so I can move back. And in the future, maybe bring my knight here when I can. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to attack this pawn or trade off this pawn somehow. But right now, I'm going to leave it as is. I need to find a way to get this bishop developed because right now this rook is blocked in and this bishop is also blocked in. So that's basically pieces point value that is not in the game. So that's always unpleasant. I can't imagine playing the whole game with just these pieces versus all of her pieces. You know, that's just not going to work well for me. So I have to find a way to break out of here somehow. I mean, I can't always develop this way and bring it out. And I think I should start that. All right, what's the best way to start that? Right now, she's not threatening anything. I can just develop. But then after that, I may have to capture something and move my knight out the way. So. And I can also move knight to h5. So I can bring my bishop to a better square. I know you're not supposed to move a knight on the rim, but in this case, it might be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start developing my bishop. I have a hard time figuring out where to put it. So if I actually trade it off, that would actually be good for me because I had a hard time figuring out where to put the bishop. So he'll be getting rid of my bishop for his bishop, which he could easily develop it here to help attack the king. I don't have such development, so that would be good for me if he trades. So I'm going to go ahead and allow the trade. Okay. Now, this bishop is defended by the knight. If I take the knight and she were to capture back, that would be a free bishop. If I take the knight, the best thing she can do is attack my bishop. And then I take the bishop and her take this back. So there's a chance for a free piece, but only if she blunders. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with that. Okay. It was still a free piece. And the problem is if I move back, she moves the pawn up, I move back, I'll be attacking the queen. Okay, so I'll be okay. I was wondering if there'll be a fork next and I lose a piece back, but let's see here. Attacking the queen. How would I continue? The queen will move somewhere. My knight has to move back. And if she attacks it, yeah, my bishop still doesn't have anywhere to go after that. But I can take off maybe 2 pawns. So I'm going to go ahead with that. Oh, I completely forgot. I just talked about that. That's okay. I literally had a free piece and then I talked about this and I just completely messed it up worrying about my bishop because it was right here. If I defended my knight, she would just take my bishop, so it wouldn't really matter that much anyways. But I definitely didn't notice that. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. This is really odd. She's playing pretty aggressive. She wasn't really playing really aggressive in the beginning, playing a lot of weird pawn moves. And I was trying to develop in a solid way, pretty simple way. And I'm wondering if they actually upgraded the bot or if I just doing bad today. But I'm going to go over here. And she basically has a free piece right here. So I got to be extra careful. Oh, hello. I'd be extra careful for some reason. I don't understand exactly what I did wrong. I'm going to trap in the bishop and allow my structure to fall apart a little bit because I need to make up for what I've lost. And that's perfectly fine. I'll just take back. And I'll take back. Okay, I managed to salvage what I've lost. That was actually a lot more difficult than she used to be. So I do think they changed it. I know a lot of people complained about the bots in the past, saying they're too easy. Well, 1200 is a lot easier than this, so they definitely did fix it. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and figure something out right now. I gotta think about this, know exactly what is going on here. The knight really has no remove. His knight, her bishop doesn't really have can't no squares really up here. She can move back, but then it's blocked off. Okay, her queen and okay, so everything seems kind of like it's not really gonna be doing much. I'm not sure if I should move my rook over to the open file. That's probably what I should do because I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna pan out. So I'm gonna go ahead with that and try my best to yeah, it's just really odd because normally she's super aggressive and just plays weird and bad. But in this case, she actually played pretty well. Yeah, I think this will help prevent the pawn push. So I'm gonna go with that. I wouldn't want her to push the pawn anyways because that would only open things up for the king. So if she were to move back down now, I can take. If she were to take, I can take with my rook, hitting her queen, which is she wouldn't want that. So I definitely be going good there. I move my rook over as well. Rook belong on open files or half open files. In this case, you're half. I'm gonna go ahead and continue. All right, move here and then move to h5, then f4. Have a little nice outpost for the knight. All right, attacking both these pieces. Now, my knight is on a good outpost. Like I said earlier, her bishop really has nowhere to go. And it's not really doing anything here. It's not doing anything where it's at. It's not going to do anything in these squares for the most part. And for that reason, there's no reason to trade it. I mean, she might be able to go over here to attack my queen, but my queen can just move out the way. So it's not a big deal. And for those reasons, I'd rather keep my knight instead of trading it for the bishop. I'm actually considering moving back as well to take the pawn. But if she were to defend it, maybe I can move the rook over. I kind of want to take the pawn, but I don't want to take the pawn to the expense of my position either. So I'm trying to find good places for my pieces. This is here. This is here. This is a free pawn. So I definitely should consider that. And also, if I hit a check, it'll be discovered attack against the queen. But she would just take it. I could get this rook still, so it'll be fine. Now, if I call check here, I'm winning something, I believe. If she takes, I can take the rook and hit the knight. So I'm going to go ahead with that. All right. Got a free piece from that. I didn't want to move the knight and just take the bishop, and I found something a lot better just by doing that. So now that I want to exchange, I'm going to want to move back and keep my bishop here. It's pretty much fortified pretty well. I might want to put pressure on the pawn as well, so I might consider moving the rook. The only problem is that she could defend the bishop, and I'm not going to be able to take it because I'll lose a rook in the process if I try to do that. So don't want to do that. So putting pressure on the pawn is not going to make much sense. This pawn also is being attacked, but is defended by the bishop as well. So I am going to go ahead and let's see. Considering moving my bishop over here, that's what I'm considering doing. I'm not entirely sure how to proceed with the attack, where things are right now. But yeah, actually, this is pretty good. Rook left, rook over f8. Maybe try to exchange rooks at some point. My queen can come in as well. Yeah, my queen being more active is probably what I should do right now. I'm going to go ahead with that. My queen needs to be more active. And that's fine. I can take. If she were to take back, I can just take with the rook. That's perfectly fine. And my bishop would be protecting this pawn. So it's perfectly fine to give up the defender that way. This is not a free pawn. It would just take the queen. I might be able to take out the pawn though, but I'm a little concerned about a discovered attack, but it's not going to happen right away. So I'm wondering if I can get away with taking this. I think I can. I think I can. Now she's threatening to discover check against my king. I'm going to move the king over now. And I'm, like I said, there's no point in attacking this pawn because she can just easily defend it with the bishop. So I keep thinking about attacking it, but I have to keep reminding myself that it's not really a good idea. Because it's not gonna, nothing's gonna happen from it. I might want to attack the knight, but it's defended enough to where I can't capture everything. So let's see here. Yeah, so far so good. I think they really did a good job on the bot upgrade. I might move my rook here to attack the queen. And also bring my other rook in to attack the knight again. That looks like a good idea. Now, if I move here, I will be attacking the rook again. The knight again, I mean. She can go down. If she does that, I can just take it with the queen. So everything's pretty covered. She's trying to move her queen here for check. If I were to take now and she were to take, I would have to take with my queen. Because if she goes attack, check, I have to move down. Move this here. I got to make sure she can't basically queen is basically what I have to consider. So if I take, he takes, I take, I'll be threatening checkmate in one. So okay, she didn't do the other order. So now I have to figure out what to do here. I'm thinking about taking on the rook, and if she takes back, I want to move my queen here, but I can't because her queen's here. So I may want to move my rook over and then my queen down. So I'm going to go ahead with that. My king, ooh, she is threatening to call a check. And then after I move, checkmate. That's what she's threatening. This bot is actually very aggressive. So if you don't pay attention every single move, that will be checkmate. So that's why I like this bot. You're forced to pay attention to every move. I'm gonna move my pawn up so I can escape. Maybe this pawn be better. This pawn I don't want to do because she can move her bishop here and block it off. This pawn here she can't do that with because it's a dark diagonal and the bishop's on a light square. So I'm gonna move this one first before anything else, and get ready to move my king around. So that move right there is, I mean, is not gonna queen right now. But I have to move over. She moves down. I'd have to attack the queen. If she were to make another queen, this looks pretty bad, to be honest. She has lots of attacks. Even though I won material stuff, I wasn't focusing on all her attacks. This is a check. Let's see if I can do something. She can. Let's say I call it check. If she moves here, that'd be checkmate, obviously, right here. She has a few options. Let's say she moves here. I can just call it check again. And if she were to move back, I don't see a way to get at this pawn. If I move this queen now, and she calls check, I can move up, and I'm actually safe. So I'm going to go ahead with that. Yeah, and I'm pretty much safe because I can just move back. I already created this environment for the queen, so it's perfectly fine. I can move my bishop back to attack this pawn, to also attack h8. So I'm going to go ahead with that. Now she's defending the promotion square. I can go ahead and... I'm thinking about just blocking it and then taking it. Once I block it, she can defend. And after I block it and she can defend, I need to find a way to start attacking her. So I'm going to go ahead and block that. And I want to go here to attack this pawn, is what I want to do. But she also might have some ideas of that. And if I take here, she can call it check after my queen's in the square. And I'm not entirely sure if she has any other ideas. I can call it check first if I wanted and just start moving the pawns up myself, which I might end up doing. So basically, I have two different plans or ideas. I can basically call it check and move my pawns up and try to make a queen myself, or move my queen here to attack the pawn and try to stop her from queening herself. The way you basically figure that out is if I try to make my stuff first, would I make it in time? Like, can she make a queen first? Pretty much is the question. Because if I go here to block it off and she moves a pawn down, and let's say I take this pawn, she can make a queen here. And if I were to take the queen, she can make another queen. And if I take the queen, she'll take my rook. And I'm not entirely sure. Oh, that'd be good for me. That would actually be really good for me because I would have taken all three of her pawns. And it would be a queen, bishop, and 3 pawns versus 1 pawn. So I'm going to go ahead with that. That actually looks very simple. If she were, she's threatening this attack right here. And if I were to take, she can take back. That's fine with me. It was unexpected, but I can accept that. Oh, that's checkmate right here. Yeah, I have nowhere else to go. That's pretty good. That was actually pretty good. I didn't see that triangle movement thing. I haven't even learned that triangle. I think it's called triangulation, where they move around like crazy. Okay, so it wasn't the bot doing really good. I just had a bad game. So 7 blunders. I think it's the first time I've ever. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever had 7 blunders against this. So against the French, I have a different system. I usually go D3 and knight D2. I've never seen that before. She's definitely opening up this diagonal. So, if I take and she takes, and I card check, she'll just block it. So it's not going to do much. I may move my knight over just to bring my knight closer to the game. Just to develop a piece. She's attacking this pawn for no reason. She might be bringing her bishop here next, which is similar to a scholar's checkmate. Let's pretend I deal up my bishop, and she goes here. She'd be threatening checkmate. And then if I move my knight, that would just be mate. So I should move my knight now, so she moves the queen out the way. So I'm going with that. Yeah, she's really good with finding checkmates. So basically, she's just focused on that. It looks like. So the upgrade it did to her is basically checkmates, not just attacking pieces. Before, when I played against her before, everything she did was just try to steal pieces and pawns. It's very easy to defend against. So let's see here. I'm gonna Fian cut on my bishop, and yeah, and then after I Fian cut on my bishop, the point would be my bishop would be attacking this side. I have 4 pawns against her 3, and I would basically be trying to promote one of my pawns. That's basically the idea behind doing this. So I'm gonna go right ahead. This is my long-term plan, is to try to make a queen. All right. I'm gonna go over here, attack the bishop. So now that I have the setup that I wanted and my plan ready, I have to figure a way to trade pieces and then push my pieces behind my pawns. So I'm going to go ahead and attack the bishop and very soon after cement my knight in and then try to push everything back. So first cement my knight in. And if I want to push everything back, I have to use my pawns to help push her bishop out the way. And the bishop will be going here or here. Now, if I want to go up here to trade, I would need my bishop for support. But I'm not sure if I want to trade right now or if I want to try to keep everything together. I also have this move, bishop to f4, because I'll be attacking this pawn twice. It's defended once, and she may have to move the rook over. Not sure if I want to do that or not, because after she forces the rook over, it's like, what do I do now? Like, what would be the point? If I can't get this knight out the way, then I don't see what the point is. Because if the knight out the way, I can actually try to force something, but yeah, there's no point. I'm just doing it just to do it, and I see a square to attack. I don't want to just automatically move it just to move it. So let's see here. I'm gonna develop my rook. And let's see. I think that'd be the best way to go about it. Move this pawn up one, then this pawn, and if she takes, I have, yeah. I think that's the best way to go about it. So I'm gonna get this started. I don't want to do this just yet. I'm thinking about taking the knight first because when she captures back, I would like to capture with my queen and keeping these three pawns together. That's what I think might be better. I want to keep the pawn chain going. Could be the fight go up now when she takes. I would take back with my pawn because I don't want my queen. And then my pawn structure is a little fragmented. So I kind of want to keep them together because it's easier to make a queen when they're defending each other. All right. If she moved the bishop, I would have to move the rook out first because that would have been a free rook. But since she moved the rook, it's perfectly fine. All right. She's attacking this twice, defended twice, but my queen is also being under attack. So like, let's say if I move, let's say I move a rook over, for example. If she were to take my queen, and I were to take the queen back, this right here would be a free knight. If I were to take back, then I would just lose my bishop. So she set up an attack against this piece here by doing that. So I think I should just take, to be honest. That might be simplest. And then after that, move my knight out the way somewhere. Yeah, I'm going to do that. This knight, this right here is free. It's a free bishop. So if I take the bishop and she were to take here, I would just be checkmate. So I'm going to go ahead and she actually gave me a free bishop by doing that. I was expecting her to capture back this way. And I'll just continue to take her knight. And that's perfectly fine. So now I'm up a piece with that exchange. She's attacking this pawn, which I really want to keep. I can take this pawn here, attacking the rook. But after she forces me to move my knight out the way, this is a free pawn back. And I kind of want to keep this pawn. I want to keep my pawns together because I want to make a queen. That was my goal in the beginning. And I don't see a reason to change my goal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I can move this away. I'm not sure if I want to go here or here. I'm not sure if I'm going to D4 or C7. I got to consider where I'm going next. For example, if I go here, should attack it. Oh, that's a bad pin. So I don't want to go here because that'd be a pin. Let's say I go to D4 and she pins it. Now I can't move it because of my rook. And if she moves the pawn up one, then I lose my knight. So this right here would have to be the answer. Attacking the pawn twice. I was trying to save the pawn, but I guess I can't. If I calculated it, I would have just taken this pawn a long time ago. So let's see here. I can move my rook over. So when she takes the pawn, I take, she takes, I take her a pawn. So I'm going to do that and just exchange pawns. I don't like this will be fragmented, but okay, she didn't go for that. I didn't like the fragmentation of the pawns or the separations, but I didn't see a way around it. And she decided to keep her a pawn instead. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Now I got to figure a way to advance the pawns and possibly trade the rooks. If I move my pawn to f4 and these are blocked off, it'll be a little bit more difficult for a rook to come in. She would have to go back and around to come in. So I'm considering this. Yeah, I'm going to move f4 to block off the rook. These squares are all covered now. So if I go up one more, yeah, she'll still have the square here, so she's fine. I won't have anything specific for that. So now I got to figure a way to keep my structure together and also trade off the rooks in the process. I want to move my knight to have this square. I can't, this would be a nice way to do it, but I can't do that. And I can't do this. It's blocked off. These two squares are blocked off by the pawns. So I can't move here or here to defend the square. So the only squares left are these two. Knight here, and knight here. There's 3 knight moves. And then I'll be defending the square and I can actually move my pawn up. So I should probably get started on that. I'm not sure if you guys ever learned how to move your knight like that. Basically, the way it works is that you decide a square you want to go on, which is right here, and then find the fastest route. The fastest route is these 2 squares, but they're covered by pawns. So now I'm like, okay, if I can't go here, what's available here? These 2 squares. So now I got to go backwards. How do I get here? You know, obviously I would have to, how would I get here or here? Well, obviously this is the only square available because these are blocked off, which means this square, which will allow me to go here. So that's basically what I did. And actually, I played games where I moved my knights around a lot to get where I wanted to. And people have called me an engine over that and thought I was cheating. And it was really frustrating because when I first learned how to move my knight around, I was so happy. I really was. I'm like, oh wow, I figured out how to do this, because it's kind of difficult sometimes to figure out where to put the knight and how to actually move it properly. So now I can actually trade. And this is fine because when I go here and she takes the pawn, I can take this pawn and be defending my knight. So it's perfectly fine, and I'll be ready to push this pawn. Okay. Let's see here. I'm not sure if it matters. I'm really not sure if it matters. This is better because if she moves down, I can take this with check. I can take this now. and I can defend my knight and try to push up. This feels a little tricky. Well, for me it is. It might be really simple for someone else, but for me this feels a little tricky on how I'm supposed to do this. After I go up one more, she can block it. And then my rook behind it, then she can try to move her king in, but I also can move in my knight. So how do I get my knight to the square? Well, from here or here, which means my knight can go on this square here. So I would need to with the pawn up one, block it off. Now if I can get my knight here, I can then I can move my knight here and remove the rook, so I can make my queen. Yeah, so that's basically how you use your knights. If you haven't learned how to use your knights yet, like this is a very good way to use your knights. I haven't learned how to use my bishops yet in a very aggressive fashion like that, but I did with the knights. So hopefully that's going to be helpful in your games when you want your pieces on certain squares. I don't know why I'm doing it. I can just simply go for a checkmate. I'm just like trying to take everything off and and go for like and make another queen and stuff. Just completely unnecessary. I just go out for checkmate. I'm gonna go ahead and block off the king. Checkmate. Yeah, that time I did. Last time I had 7 blunders. The last game. I've never played so horrible, live or even my normal games. And for some reason, I don't even understand. The problem with me trying to analyze it is it'll come up another tab, and then because the format that I'm using Restream, I'd have to share that screen as well. And I don't know how to share it separately. They have different formats, and I don't want to have 2 screens together. So I didn't want to do that. But that's pretty much anything specifically that you guys want me to do or want to actually see or go over specifically, or it should just be all for today. All right. Well, if you guys don't have much in mind, then I'll probably just get going then. All right. Well, I think this game was an excellent example of how to use your knights to control squares, specific squares, especially in the endgame. That was something I learned a few months ago. And like I said, when I first had to do it, people actually used to call me engine and cheater and stuff like that while I was playing games because they don't understand how a person can do that. And it's really not that difficult. It's actually pretty easy. But at lower levels, or even where I'm at, I think I was around 1200 or 1300 at the time when I first learned it. And at that level, people were like, oh, so it's a really good something that you should really learn how to do with the knights for sure. So I guess I'll get going. You can like, subscribe, and share. I'm gonna keep this video up even though I did horrible and lost the first game, because the second game really helped show how knights work. So I'm gonna put that in the comment section after it's done. so people know the second game is going to be one to learn from. This first one, it was just crazy. I don't understand how she was even able to triangulate and do all that. But all right. Well, thank you for watching, and I'm going to get going. All right. Bye. All right. You too. All right.